At most traffic light junctions, the traffic lights are duplicated. So here we have the first set of traffic lights, which are known as the primary lights, and I must stop at the stop line when those lights are red. I'm stopping at the first stop line. I'll let you know later on in the video when you can stop at the second. If you look to the exit of the junction, there is another set of traffic lights. These are actually duplicates of the first set. So when the first set is red, that duplicate traffic light will be red. When the first set is green, the duplicate will be green, etc. The official term for the duplicate traffic lights is secondary traffic lights. Where some people go wrong is that when they've passed the stop line and the lights go red and they're still in the middle of the junction, they stop at the secondary traffic light. But you should not do this. When the lights turn red, when you've already passed the stop line, you should continue to finish passing and clearing the junction safely. So now the lights are turning green. I'll start to cross the stop lines. Now I'm past the stop lines. If the lights go red, I should continue clearing the junction, so long as it's safe to do so. So what's the point in having that secondary traffic light at the exit of the junction? Well, it's there to act as a backup. Sometimes at junctions, when you're trying to look at the primary light, it can be difficult because you're so close to the traffic lights because of where they've happened to be able to place those traffic lights that you're trying to look like this to see when it goes green, which can be quite uncomfortable. Having those secondary lights further ahead, it makes it easier to see. Also, there could be a large vehicle blocking one of the sets of the traffic lights. If you've got two sets of traffic lights at different distances, if one set is blocked by something, hopefully you can see the second set. Also, if one of the bulbs fail, you have that second set as a backup. Here's an example of where the primary light is difficult to see. It's up there, whereas the secondary light is directly in front of me in plain sight. It looks smaller on camera, but it's much bigger to my eyes. This camera does make things look smaller and further away. Usually the secondary light is at the exit of the junction, but not always. Sometimes it's just slightly further ahead of the stop line like it is here. Normally the primary light will be near the stop line on the left and the secondary light will be further ahead on the right. In this case, the secondary light is not at the exit of the junction, it's actually still at the entrance of the junction, but further ahead than the stop line, just after the pedestrian crossing. The mistake I sometimes see is a driver stopping at somebody else's secondary light. So I'm turning right here, and as they turn right, they see the secondary light and stop here. But that red secondary light is not even for them. That's for people coming from a different direction. And of course, if you stop there in that situation, that's going to cause havoc because it's just going to block the junction whilst you actually have a green light and should be continuing. A way they can get around this problem is by putting a louvre over the red light. That way, traffic that is turning right can't really see the light very well, and therefore they're less likely to be confused by it. But the traffic that the light is intended for, they can still see the red light. An easy way to tell that it's a secondary traffic light and not a primary traffic light is that secondary traffic lights do not have a stop line. If you see a set of traffic lights with a stop line, you must not cross that stop line until the lights are green. In my experience, this is the most common place in Colchester where people stop at the secondary light, and I think it's because that secondary light is quite far ahead and there's a crossing there, so it looks like it's its own separate set of traffic lights. So that black car that just went there, quite often I see cars stop, or like where that van is, they stop there at the red light, or even when they're coming from the direction I'm coming from right now, they move forwards, go across the junction and then stop as if that's a pedestrian crossing and the red light is for them. The pedestrian crossings will get a green light, but the traffic lights are timed so that people or traffic in the middle of the junction should have time to clear before the pedestrians get a green traffic light. But if the pedestrians do start crossing, of course, don't run them over, give way. So it's green at the moment. That is a secondary traffic light. I'm not going to stop here. As I see so many people do, I will continue. These broken lines near the secondary traffic light are not a stop line. They simply mark the width of the crossable area for the pedestrians. It's important not to confuse a secondary light with a new set of traffic lights. So at the moment I'm approaching a set of traffic lights. They're green. If I get there and they're still green, I will continue. The traffic light that's green in the middle is the secondary light. So I'm continuing now, and there's more traffic lights in front of me here, but there's another stop line. So if these go red, I must not cross that stop line. They are separate. Here's some green lights, and because they've gone amber and I can stop at the line, I will. I mustn't stop on the yellow box junction or box area in the middle, so I must not enter that yellow box until I can see my exit. And if I enter that box and that secondary traffic light goes red, if it's safe to do so, I should continue. So now the lights are green, I'm going ahead. If that secondary light goes red now, I will continue past it if it's safe to do so. Another set of traffic lights here. My exit road is blocked, so I'm not going to enter until I know I can clear the junction. So I will wait here so I don't block people turning. It's always important to not block the junction, because if I was now still stuck in the middle and the lights had gone green from the left, I would be in their way. On this occasion though, the traffic ahead has cleared and I would have been able to go, but I wouldn't have known that. So you have to leave the junction clear until you know you can get to the other side and out the other end. Like now it's gone green. This is a secondary light, so even if it goes red, I'm continuing, and I have an exit path to leave the junction, which is why I'm continuing. It's important to remember that at traffic lights, when you have a green light, oncoming cars would usually also have a green light. Like now, I've got a green light, the oncoming car has a green light too. Be aware when turning right, because you will be crossing their path. But this is where the secondary traffic lights can be useful, because as I'm waiting here, when those secondary lights go red, I know the oncoming cars or oncoming traffic also have a red light, and that's a good opportunity for me to go. Or like now, when there's a gap, I can take that too. As I'm approaching a red light, I must stop at the first stop line. Earlier I said I'd let you know when you can stop at the second, and that is when you don't have time to stop at the first. So let's say the lights go amber and you feel you don't have time to stop at the first, but you still have time to stop at the second, then you must stop at the second. I'm going to turn right now at these traffic lights. They're red at the moment. When they're green, I'm going to go into the middle to wait for the oncoming cars. Usually here, I have to wait so long that the lights go red before I actually have a chance to clear the junction. So I'll fast forward this bit now until that happens. So here we go. They're going green. I'm going to pop the car in the middle, wait for the oncoming cars where I'm not obstructing anyone. And what's likely going to happen is the lights are going to go red, then the oncoming cars are going to stop, and that's going to be my opportunity to go. You see, gone red now, and now I'm in the middle of the junction. I'm going to clear the junction. I'm not going to stop at any secondary traffic lights. The problem of not having a secondary light at the exit of the junction is when you're waiting in the middle to turn right. At the moment, my primary light is here, and my secondary light is over there. But when I'm waiting in the middle of the junction to turn right for these oncoming cars, I'm not going to know when they get a red light. So here we go. I'm moving into the middle now, and now I can't see the traffic lights. It's okay because I can see when there's a gap in the traffic or when they stop. But if I had a secondary light which went red, I would know that they have a red light, which is a heads up that I can go, instead of me having to wait for them to actually stop to know I can go. It just gives me a little bit of a head start, and it allows me to prepare. It's not such a problem for me, but I find it certainly helps new drivers who take longer to get the car going. At this set of traffic lights, the primary light is on the left near the stop line, and the secondary light is on the right after the junction. If the traffic lights go red now, I will continue to clear the junction. At the moment, I'm on a dual carriageway in the right lane, and the primary light is on the right, and the secondary light is actually further ahead on the left. In fact, I have two secondary lights here. Now, can I actually turn right, or am I going to be blocking the road? No, I can't turn right because if I stop there and then the oncoming traffic gets a green light, I will be blocking them. So I have to wait here until I have an exit. I have a treat coming up for you soon. Wig Wag Traffic Lights. No green, but there is an amber and 2 alternate red flashing lights. I have a primary light on the left and a secondary light on the right. If it goes amber and I can stop by the line, I should. Now I'm committed to going. I should continue even if the secondary light goes amber or red. There's a yellow box there as well. I must not enter that until I can see I have an exit. Usually wig wags are used at level crossings for trains or blue light vehicle entrances, like that was a fire station there, or swing bridges. I'm sure there's other areas as well. There's no green because they don't get used very often, and that green will be just on permanently, which would be a bit of a waste, I guess, but they do have 2 red flashing lights to grab your attention. I'm going ahead at these traffic lights. Currently they're on green. I will stop if they change to red. Now I'm committed to going, and now I pass those stop lines. Even if that secondary light goes red, I will continue. At temporary traffic lights, you won't get a white line painted on the road because it's not very convenient to paint a white line on the road temporarily. So you'll get this red sign instead. If the traffic light is red, then you must not pass this red sign. However, if you pass the red sign and then the traffic lights go red, then you should continue if it's safe to do so. Well, I hope this video helps clear up any confusion about secondary traffic lights. If you think it has, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for car insurance, check out the links to Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on somebody else's car, then Collingwood are there for you because you can do so without affecting the owner's policy, and that takes away a big stress from the owner of that car that you're using to practice your driving in. Via the link at the moment, there's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card. If you want to insure your own car, I recommend checking out the link to confused.com because you fill out 1 quote form and get loads of quotes back from many insurers to compare who's cheapest, and you can change your car on that quote as many times as you like, which means you can fill out 1 quote and keep changing the car and recalculate to see how much it costs to insure different cars. That's a quick and easy way to compare how much it costs to insure different cars. Useful if you're shopping around. Using the links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support the channel, so thank you very much. Subscribe to get my future videos, and until the next one, cheerio.